Oh, guys, it seems these players are eager to get things underway. They won't give us any time to waffle on. Grand finals of the June Nova Cup is here already. Game number 1. Shadow, let's go!
Let's go. And first Mastermind Drachir on the cash out. And what a cash out roll already.
Let me sort out my scoreboard, Shadow. If you wouldn't mind introducing the mastermind options, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so cash out from Drachir having the Tree of Life Sovereign possibility with Butcher and Steed. Very oppressing combination of units already on his board. Lucy going for the Cartel. Adams and Tjuvis still waiting and see what they want. And the Legion spells are going to be Vampire, Press the Attack, and Guardian Angel. And the choice has been made. Adams is going for the Cartel, and Tjuvis is going for the Greed.
Okay, so we've got 3 very early game focused masterminds there with the cash out and the double cartel. Greed is just old reliable, right? You can never really go wrong with Greed, but it also doesn't excel like some of the other masterminds do in any particular area. It's very stable, right? It's very reliable. You know what you're getting with Greed.
And Drachir not going for the Avenger Steed combination, really favoring that Nightmare Butcher.
He has such a good Nightmare Butcher roll, actually. The one thing
Yep.
maybe missing that I would love to see is a better tier 1, perhaps an Oathbreaker or something like that. But it's a very, very strong roll, and he can, because he's cash out, he can still add something like, I mean, he can either do Veteran or Treant on wave 3 while still having 5 workers, so I think he's very fine with this roll. Meanwhile, Sakura for FC Lucy, so she's going to make sure that her hips get to sing today. How do you feel like Sakura is in the current meta, Shadow? It's obviously very slow as a unit, and it has been nerfed, I think, a couple of times back to back. Do you still think it's a powerhouse of an opener? Or how are you feeling about this unit right now?
I think it's very smart against Tjuvis and Adams specifically, just because of the fact that normally they want to force the wave they want. But now doing for Sakura, you're kind of saying, well, hey, send me 7, it's fine. And you're gonna have answer for that. You're gonna link maybe, but then Drachir is able to cover with the Lifesteal Doppel. So I think overall it's good against the team they are against. But I think overall it has a little bit more weaknesses and maybe falls off of favor.
I think that's a pretty fair analysis, yeah. Okay, we get more income resends here on 3 from the Sweaty Tryhards, so they apparently didn't like the way that their 1-6 play went in game number 1, despite them ultimately winning that game. They're going for a much more income-sendy route this time around. Drachir and Lucy, they've only sent their king ups themselves this time, so maybe they'll go for something like that, but the waves are really fast as well.
Yeah, an interesting decision by Drachir to go for the Van Hog. Very good for wave 5 preparation, so yeah. I do like this.
It feels a lot better than a Veteran on all of the waves other than 3, right? Like, it's so much better on 5, it's so much better on 6. And he knew that the waves were so fast, so he knows. Drachir, he can kind of, he's got a metronome in his head, tells him how much Methium to expect. He knows there was no way that he was receiving more than a couple of snails on wave 3.
And Adam sending a DT here. Will it surprise Lucy? I mean, it might work.
It might. I think he probably has to add the snail as well to give it a chance of working.
He is getting it.
Yeah,
he's getting it, but is the other question.
He hasn't sent it, so maybe the DT was just for income.
Yeah, I think this is favoring Lucy here, reading out of her mind here.
I mean, the Sakura is so good against the wave creeps. It 2-shots those chickens, so Snail just, he just helps, But it looks like probably wouldn't have made a difference. I don't think a Snail is making like a 240 HP difference, but maybe, who knows?
Maybe the waves last longer. Maybe it was close. It was close. But yeah, I mean the greed is very well received here by Lucy, and she's adding the Wanderer now.
And she gets her 7th worker out as a result as well. Tjuvis is going for the Dino Send into Drachir. He will, I think, be very disappointed when he sees that Butcher placed here by Drachir, pretty much guaranteeing the hold.
Yeah, and those are like only partial sends here from Drachir and Lucy. Very, very confusing when you receive those. Like only a DT here, it's like, and he still has 60 medium to send. It's like, can I push? Can I not push? Those are difficult decisions. You need to really have faith in your build to know when you can push or not.
Yeah. Now, for once, it looks like Drachir's focus is less than perfect. His Butcher, his Windhawk did full tank the wave, keeping his Nightmare on full HP. But he just has enough units, enough value to be able to hold quite comfortably regardless.
Yeah, he has enough good units on wave 5, and that's because he did the Windhawk on wave 3.
Exactly right. That's a very good example of forward planning. If he had gone for that Veteran on 3, best unit he could have made on 3, but way, way weaker then on waves 5 and 6.
And 9 workers on Drachir again here. Like, the push from this guy.
Yeah, this is really impressive stuff, actually. Now, we have a full send here from Lucy, the Brute and the Snail into Tjuvis's build. He doesn't have fantastic damage on the wave. His Archer didn't tank anything. I think he would have loved it to tank at least one Rocco there.
That's right. Well, it's tanking now.
Now it's tanking. Now he's getting a 3-way split. I don't know that it's going to be enough, though. He probably kills one more, but I don't think the Trinity can kill anything else by itself. No, that's a leak there. 46% for Tjuvis. This is, I think, the first leak of the game so far.
And I don't know if you take notes of that, but today, asynchronous sends here from all the teams.
There has been quite a lot of that, actually. Normally in tournament play, we see teams pretty much always sending together, going for king damage, apart from very early on. But yeah, there has been a lot of one-sided sends going on, and it has kind of worked out for the teams that have been going for that strategy. But now we see Drachir releasing the Mimic on 7, old reliable there. Adams drops a Nightmare, very, very strong unit on wave 7, but he also has a lot of value in units that don't help keep the Nightmare alive. So these Atoms, the Steeds, also not very tanky here. I mean, the Nightmare's doing its thing, but it's about to get overwhelmed as soon as the Mimic reaches it.
Still not reached yet. Now on it. But the wave is 10 out, so it's not too bad, I could tell.
66%, 15 gold there on the Mimic, and Tjuvis is covering at least.
I mean, holding is lane.
Yeah, holding, sorry, not covering. Oh no, oh no.
I think it was a bit ambitious to think that only the Archer could be sufficient to kill the Mimic, but still very important to return damage.
Ogre on 8 from Tjuvis.
And income from the rest, it's just so hard to know if it's gonna be worth it. There's not a metric in king damage, so really trying to get economic damage rather than king damage early now.
Yeah, and what is Drachir's answer here? He has 270 gold. He can't really place Sapphire Lord because he can't afford to split unless he sells both Peewees to place one more. He's actually going for the Violet. I mean, it's well typed against an Ogre, but I think this might be really bad now for Drachir. The Ogre is going left as well.
Oh wait, it's on it.
Yeah, the Nightmares are just going to take forever to get through there. The Ogre chewing through the Violet. It was a good call to go for that Impact Natural unit in the end, but this is going to be a big leak here from Drachir. This is the sort of leak that that Burnt and Ashton really were going for when they sent Wave 8 against Drachir. Never quite managed to break him this badly, though. 75% here is fantastic against Drachir on 8.
It's gonna get rid of the Sakura too, so it's a double win in that matter.
Yeah,
and it's
so
king damage.
That's again a really good point there, Shadow. So Lucy also losing out on her scaling, and this asynchronous sending that you were talking about really working out.
Yeah, and Lucy going for the send now.
Yeah,
but talking about scaling, look at her workers too.
Yeah, she's got those 15 workers. She's leagues ahead of everybody else in the game. Tjuvis, of course, has to stay high value to have any chance of holding this. But, I mean, I think he's in some trouble here, Shadow. He looks pretty weak on 9, and the Ogre is very strong against what little good units he does have here.
What I want to see from Lucy is to resend them all on 10. If they want to continue for those type of sending, like it would be very good to go for them all.
Yeah.
But then you open yourself up to a 11 send, where Drachir doesn't really have an answer apart from HF or Tree of Knowledge, and Lucy's not the strongest either. So I don't think the wave 10 is the greatest idea, but it could be something they look for if they want to just get more gold on their board through Tjuvis's league.
Well, this is... It's not horrendous there, 76%. It's only really 5 creeps and an ogre, and I think Adams can do at least some damage against these units before they reach the king, so they're not going to take a huge amount of king damage.
They go for 10.
He can't kill the ogre though, can he? Atom? How broken? It can! The Atom's insane, dude!
And the wave 10 is decided
Alright.
here by Adams and Tjuvis.
And this is actually the first time that we've seen a team send together so far this game, Shadow. So we've got big boy sends coming out on wave number 10, Drachir and FC Lucy. Now, we do, of course, see the doppelganger with lifesteal here from Drachir, so he should be feeling fairly confident. A lot will come down to how quickly he snipes those brutes or whether they slow the doppel down. And Lucy, meanwhile, she does have this Trinity Archer, fantastic unit for wave 10, but she's kind of lacking in the tank department, and I think the Archer will die before the Sakura as well.
I'm unsure about that because the range of Sakura is lower, and it looks like Sakura will tank for the Archer on this one.
Brutes all sniped in Drachir's lane, so he's just holding, I think. Let's go back to Lucy's lane, and the Sakura does die. You were right there, Shadow. She's still leaking, of course, 77% and a shutdown, but Drachir, the doppelganger, can it just out-heal the boss? It can! Drachir's fully holding there against the brute send.
Yeah, very, very confused about that send from Adams and Tjuvis to go on 10. I know Tjuvis was weak there on 10 to recently, he did leak, but I don't think it was worth it to try and press the attack opportunity here on 11 to get Drachir very...
And it kind of makes it easier for Drachir and Lucy, right? Because Drachir, he does have that PTA option available if he wants it. But I really wouldn't be surprised to see him take the Vampire or the GA as well. Very good, very good spells.
Yeah, I think the GA is more value on him since he already has the lifesteal on it. But he's gonna double down on it.
He does. He takes the Vamp, and Adams does the same, so he now has a little bit of lifesteal on his doppel. Not quite as strong as Drachir's, of course, but he also has a Lord of Death here. A very, very good unit, wave 11, and there's no Siege Ram for this one to contend with, Shadow, not like we saw earlier.
Yeah, and might just make the difference here. A lot of frontline here with those Treants and also the final errors. So can give enough time for the LOD to kill some of the wave at least.
LOD looks like it's doing its job very well so far. The Doppelganger still full HP as well. It will start tanking now, of course, but we see 2 dragons already summoned by the Lord of Death. I think he's just going to hold.
Yeah, the Steeds were the difference maker to get that early second dragon, and they're going to tank for the LOD now.
Fantastic. So a very nice hold there against a 380 Mythium send from Drachir. Adams is very happy with his performance here.
Yeah, awkward at this moment. I mean, both players holding and they saved Mythium, so they kind of felt safe here in the end on this wave 11. But now, what's the next play for them? They are now in the Mythium lead. They didn't push too hard.
Yeah.
Oh, 15. 15. I'm calling it now.
15? Okay, I mean, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. They're both shifting gold. They're not pushing too hard. They just want to try and accept a send maybe on 14. I could see Drachir and Lucy sending big on 14.
Yeah. I mean, that would be very good against what Tjuvis is showing right now to go 14. But now the question is, does Lucy and Drachir have enough to make them make this send worthwhile on 14?
Yeah, interesting to point out, Drachir shifted a lot of gold here, so he's obviously going for that Phoenix edition on 13, but Adams and Tjuvis, they do not fall for this. They're not going for a 13 send, where Drachir would just be insanely strong with a Phoenix.
Yeah, it goes against how Adams and Tjuvis have been approaching this tournament overall to go for that so close by send. They favor to go against synergies, so larger sends, and it would have been very strange from them to go for 13 rather than a longer save.
Yeah. Lucy's actually not very far behind in her Mythium, right? Because she has the most workers in the game still.
Yeah, so they have that going for them. Adams is very low on income as well. That is
Very low on income, yeah. We have 2 cartel players in this game, but one of them is a lot richer than the other.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit.
Lucy topping the power score and on fire. Adams chilling out down here, keeping the bottom of the ladder comfortable. And there is that 14 send from Drachir and Lucy as expected, Shadow. Adams and Tjuvis, they do skip, so they're going for the 15. You called it correctly. But how can Adams and Tjuvis hold here? These sends are not exactly small, Shadow.
I mean, looking at Adams' build, he's looking the strongest on this wave.
Double doppelganger, yeah, but he's very low value. He's minus 370. Tjuvis is even worse on value, minus 400. He does get the rogue wave here, and we saw how insane that was on wave 13 in the previous game. Well, here it should be strong, so let's see. There's a lot of healers, though. It's a
different situation. Yeah, it's a lot of healing, but a different situation. Here, only the Trinity Archer will benefit from it, and it's way less value in the rogue wave because of that. And you also have the Chieftain buff on the Trinity Archer.
The Doppels are still alive. Both Doppels are still alive. One of them is dying now, but Adams, he's doing so well here. I mean, he's going to leak, but it's really, really small there against the big send while he's way low on value. And Tjuvis, I mean, Tjuvis, he leaks 68%, but it's all super low as well. They're going to take barely any king damage here, Shadow. And now they have 600 Mythium on Tjuvis, 570 for Adams. Will they go for this wave 15 send that you knew all along, or do they go even longer?
They don't go. They go longer, because they just received a send and say, why should that send here? 17, so much tastier. Come on.
Can they afford to go 17, though? Did they accidentally push a single worker?
I mean, no, because they know that 15 is obvious. They're gonna receive income king. They're strong on 16, and yeah, they're gonna have 1000 lithium to send on 17. The enemy is on 80% king HP, and they're gonna have the advantage on the race.
Absolutely insane. We of course see Drachir and Lucy going for the income king, just desperately hoping to survive. And actually Drachir could have done very well here. He has Phoenix, which is broken. He has 3 canopies with a head chef and a vampire spell buff as well. So probably a pretty good call there from Adams and Tjuvis to go a little bit longer.
Yeah, there is a danger, however, and it is Lucy at the moment. She does have a lot of damage and a lot of delay in the gates.
She's got really good units on 17, right? She has those samurais, she has the Trinity Archers for damage, she has the gates as well.
Adam spots it, and he's gonna be full pushing here on 16.
Okay. But he is leaking to the income king send, but it's a pro leak, it's a very low HP boss.
Oh, they go 16, okay.
Alright. I mean, the sends are very large at this point. Maybe they're worried that Drachir and Lucy would just undercut them. But actually, Drachir and Lucy are skipping that here. They're going to make sure they have a fully upgraded king, which I think is a pretty solid choice there. Drachir, very, very far undervalue. He's going to be about 750 undervalue once he's finished building. Lucy, maybe a little bit better here. She has 1 death cap only. And she has these badges as well, which is just pretty much dead value on 16.
Yeah, I mean, the arcane defense is gonna hurt for sure. I mean, they're playing against the weak wave with the gates here currently, but Drachir is very, very strong on 16. That's why 17 made more sense. But with the needlers, maybe it's enough.
They did fully upgrade the king, so it has to be a big leak to be able to take 85% HP here. And Drachir, remember, he has his 2 doppels. That Phoenix is giga smurfing here, surviving on super low HP, dealing tons of damage with that low mana. The Phoenix passive really doing work here. It just now goes down, but it did so well. Lucy, in fact, leaking way worse there. 143% for her, 113 from Drachir, but most of that is in the Needler's Shadow. Is this enough to kill them, or will they survive here?
They will survive because the Needlers are going down as we speak, and the AoE should deal with the wave quite easily, and we're going further in the game here.
Oh, maybe a bit of a misstep there from Adams and Tjuvis, just pulling the trigger 1 wave too early. I think you're right, Shadow. I think if they had gone for 17, this might have been extremely difficult for Drachir and Lucy to survive.
Yeah, it's really about Drachir's lane. I think Lucy's lane, it was a very good choice to go 16, but the fact that Drachir was just having all his combination of units peak on 16 was a bit of a questionable decision.
Yeah, I can understand it though, because, you know, Adams leaked to the income send on 15. Maybe they're just thinking, if Drachir and Lucy go for pack leader Mole on 16, we just die if we skip there.
Yeah, that is true. That's the other point. But now, magic damage on Tjuvis, very strong on 18. Drachir and Lucy, Ryu's looking good. However, when do you leak Tjuvis with the Archer and the magic damage here? It's going to be very hard to spot.
Really difficult. Really difficult. And it looks like wave 18 is their answer, but this looks like Tjuvis' strongest wave. He's got so much magic damage, and he's got a really big natural tank here as well with the Alpha Male, plus 20% damage reduction.
Adams did also full shift here, and he's having also already the 80s. Good tanks here for this wave, and he has the Halo. We're going wave 20 here if you're Adams and Tjuvis, it looks like.
I mean, let's not jump the gun too early, Shadow, because sure, they've got good units, but they're both very, very far under value here. We've got minus 860 for Tjuvis. We've got minus 800 for Adams. So yes, their units are powerful here, but the sends are pretty big and their value is very low. I don't know.
I mean, so much chieftains, so much healing on the side of Tjuvis. Very hard.
Tjuvis is one-shotting the left-hand side of the wave. The double Four Eyes, of course, doing what it needs to against that big Alpha Male, but it lived for a long time. The left side is down. The right side is dying as well. I think that is a hold for Tjuvis. Adams, how are you doing? It looks like he's doing fantastically as well. Is there a second summon? No! The Hades dies before summoning, just barely. Adams baby leaking Tjuvis. Shadow, you called it. He easy holds here with that magic damage. Insane. And now, the advantage heavily in favor of the Sweaty Tryhards.
Oh, wait. Full push from Drachir and Lucy to no sun.
Okay. Wait, they're full pushing for 20, or what are they? Are they full push? They're gonna full push Shaman Resend, Shadow.
Is it the play?
It's their only option, I think. I think they know it's their only option, but Tjuvis didn't really push either. Adams, he's pushed a few there, but yeah, this is going to be a Shaman Resend, Shadow. You mark my words. I think Drachir and Lucy feel like it's their only option here.
Or is it just a full push from Drachir into wave 20 to raise them here? But Tjuvis is so strong on wave 22, so I'm not sure.
Surely there's no way that Tjuvis and Adams...
Okay, they go.
Okay, there's a double witch there from Drachir. Lucy?
Lucy?
Sends a Kraken. Okay. She had me worried there for a second as well, Shadow. Alright, there's the Kraken. But the Kraken means that there's no Four Eyes attacking this 14,000 HP Alpha Male. So Tjuvis, he's minus 400, the Kraken, but yeah, it's an easy hold there for him. Adams, he is leaking. Can Tjuvis hold round 2 as well? You know what? I think he can, Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, it's so small as a leak here for Chieftains, and a split shot's just making all the Chieftains so effective.
and here comes their answer. So we get the Shamans already. They both have best part of 800 Mythium left over as well. I mean, Drachir, he continues to full push, so Drachir is just going full suicide at this stage, trying to leak Adams. But how is Lucy going to be able to hold a send of this magnitude, Shadow?
I mean, she can't hold. She can just delay with iron skills, but the problem is that there is lane 4 that is not leaking.
Yeah, Tjuvis is just an absolute beast. And with the Aqua combo as well, he's hoping to be able to snipe out that Shaman on the back line, which is a pretty solid thing to do if he can achieve it.
Yeah, that's the smartest decision here, and like even if you don't hold, because there's still a chance he doesn't hold, but without a Kraken scent, he most likely does. That means he's gonna delay the longest no matter what because of all the chieftains and also the arcane defense in the Aqua.
All right, this is pretty clutch now, Shadow. One team is gonna die here.
Yeah, and I fear it's gonna be a team name. And just a reminder to chat, this is only game 1.
Oh, spicy. Yeah, Drachir, of course, is leaking everything here to the 1310. There's even some king upgrades in the mix there from Tjuvis. Adams is leaking heavily to the suicide play, but yeah, Tjuvis making this look easy here, I think. Unless the healing on the boss? No. Okay, I say make it look easy.
Wait.
I think I need to change my mind there. That was pretty close, honestly. He has a Trinity Archer and a Lifebinder alive. But yeah, the Sweaty Tryhards, they are victorious here. Game number 1, going to the side of Adams and Tjuvis, Drachir and Lucy on the back foot, Shadow, our tournament favourites.
I mean, on the back foot, that was just an insane game. I mean, can they keep up every game like this? This is just so terrifying in terms of decision making. Like, just everybody just not sending together, getting economic damage, going for a long save mid game, just going one more wave, and oh my god, so much in this game.
Yeah, this was a very, very spicy one for sure. Like you say, the asynchronous. We're going to have to rename the June Nova Cup to the asynchronous Nova Cup. We have this leak on 6 against Tjuvis, the leak on 7 against the Downs, the leak on 8 against Drachir, leak on 9 against Tjuvis, leak on 10 against Lucy, and it's just the players taking turns to send massive amounts of Mythium and get tons of damage done against a single opponent, not particularly aiming for king damage, getting a little bit of it as an aside, basically. And then we see this good play here from Adams and Tjuvis, holding pretty big sends respectably well on 14, knowing that they were strong there with the double doppelganger, with the Trinity Archer Rogue Wave combo of Tjuvis. They could accept a leak there, it wasn't going to kill them, and they could send massive, massive amounts of Mythium on 16 to put themselves in a pretty heavy advantage. And then, yeah, the balls on these guys to skip 18 as well, very far undervalue, minus 800 on both of them. Tjuvis holding with all of that magic damage. Adam's barely leaking as well, by the way. Then we get this full push resend on 19. I like the play from Drachir and Lucy. Like, they know, I think, that they're losing a race on 20. They know that. So they think, you know what, let's try it. Didn't work this time. Could have done, though, if Tjuvis had pushed a few more workers. And then, of course, the kind of almost inevitable outcome when all is said and done, with wave 20 victory there to the Sweaty Tryhards. And man, I'm tired just talking about it, Shadow.
Okay, I'm gonna say, how insane would it have been if Drachir full push for 20?
Oh, he did full push for 20.
That would have been so good, because Lucy was holding the longest if Tjuvis did not receive only 560 here.
Oh, if they skip 19, you mean?
Yeah, if they skipped 19.
Okay. Yeah. That could have very well been a game-winning play, yeah. It really could have. And Drachir, he only leaked like 2 creeps to the no-send himself on wave 19, remember? So that could very well have been a good play. And if Lucy had had an extra 400 Mythium, because remember, she sent that Kraken on 19, I think you're right, Shadow, because, yeah, Tjuvis only survived there with a Trinity Archer and a Lifebinder. So there's a very good chance that they could have won the game.
Yeah, I think the Halo is what caused the 19 cent. They say, oh, Halo, I cannot leak that on wave 20. But I think there was a chance with the full push that he could have leaked still.
All right, let me see if I can... The next lobby is open, by the way, if you want to join that.
Yeah,
the players are ready.
Yeah. I had some problems joining in, so it's okay.
Okay. All right, guys, we have a lobby. We have 4 players chomping at the bit here. There is a 1-0 lead currently on the side of the Sweaty Tryhards, but Teamname. They're on the back of a 3-win streak, remember, Shadow. They won in May, they won in April, they won in March, or at least Drachir won all of those. Lucy won too. They clearly want to take home the trophy in June as well, but now they have a little bit of a hill to climb. The Sweaty Tryhards giving them a run for their money.
I mean, I'm quite happy to see the Sweaty Tryhards making their revenge story happen, because they were the finalists on May Nova Cup, if you remember.
Yeah,
so they were swept 3-0, and now they take game 1. So we're gonna see if they can continue the trend.
Well, let's see if they can keep up the momentum as we go into game number 2.
So it's gonna be Drachir on the Cartel and Lucy on the Greed. Tjuvis and Adam still keeping their cool and taking their time. There's no aggressive Legion spells, only Allowance, Creditor, and Venture. So interesting. Maybe a castle from Adams?
Oh, Shadow! Are you a mind reader? How do you do this? Absolutely insane.
I just know the players, how they think, and when they see the mastermind, say, oh, I want to play this. But surprised Lucy didn't go for it, realizing no aggressive spells, but wanting to keep that stability with the Greed.
All right, we have a cash out on Tjuvis, we have a Greed on Lucy, and a Cartel on Drachir. So again, we've got 2 early game focused roles there with the Cartel and the cash out, and then we have the exact opposite with the Greed of Adams.
Mask most likely, or the Widerson famous opener, the Maiden Double Angler. But no, he has the Priestess, and that's stable. He has the Fertilizer for Wave 10 as well, so good setup for him.
Yeah, very, very solid. And we get snails coming out from 3 of the players. This is spicy, but with a Treant there, Tjuvis is easily holding. He's Giga rewarded, but so are both Drachir and Lucy. And in fact, it's just 2 bonus stacks for the Angler there of Drachir. But that said, actually, a little bit of an oopsie there from Drachir with his placement. His Angler runs it down mid, and I think it only got the 1 stack from the snail.
Yeah, so no bonus stacks, even less stacks than the bonus ones. And yeah, I mean, the snails is what happens when you have 3 players that normally plays Fiesta. And yeah, snails just trying to get the early advantage in those kind of games.
And Tjuvis now on 6 workers. He's absolutely loving the fact that he got snailed into his tree out. Adams is sending a post-income snail into Drachir. I mean, this has to pay off now. This is kind of a risky play, especially when he's only on 4 workers.
Yeah, I mean, this is not working though. It's not post income. The Oathbreaker is doing very well paired with the Aqua. So
his split tanking is really, really good here for Adams as well. The Aqua will die now, but it's already done everything it needed to. In fact, it's still alive, and it's just like okay. I'm going home.
I mean, I mean, that's what happens when you play Aqua early game. Aqua is the unit in the early game that allows you to get those safe 6 workers on wave 3, and that's the exact reason why.
Yeah, so the post-income snail there from Adams really backfiring, actually. It's a free 6 golden Drachir, and it really relieves the pressure on him now. He's got those 6 workers, caught up to Tjuvis finally, despite Angler being a weak early game unit.
Ooh, and Drachir just saving some gold as well, wanting to have this Bounty Hunter, or maybe the Fire Elemental even, skipping the Angler upgrade.
Both good options. I can see the Fire Elemental actually being stronger for him there, because remember, his Angler won't be fully stacked, so it might just be better. The Fire Elemental obviously is a stronger unit than the Bounty Hunter in general.
Okay, no,
is this a Pro League?
The Atom strangely died really fast with this aggro. Very interesting. The Treant have some funky aggro, that's to note.
Alright. Worth pointing out as well, Drachir had enough to send a snail there, so if Tjuvis is leaking to the 40 send, imagine what might have happened if he'd added the extra 20.
Yeah, I think it's just because he sent the DT alone that the Atom was isolated long enough, so that might just be the reason why it died first. So
Shadow, do you see what I see?
Dino?
The Sweaty Tryhards, they're living up to their name again. So they went for a much more income-heavy early game in the previous, but now they're going straight back into the King Up on 1 into, what, 200 on 6?
Okay, so we're going to have a send on 4. We're gonna see it's only partial sense, not full sense. Tell me if you're back. Okay, you're not
think
back.
I'm gone. I think that, everybody, I'm getting back into the game now. Did the game pause, Shadow?
No, it did not.
Okay.
But I was trying to do stuff in the background, so I did not really follow, but no king damage as of now. But the big sense came through on wave 6 from the Sweaty Tryhards,
Okay.
and they're both holding. The Drakes were not enough.
Oh, okay, so they went for a big send on 6, but it was full income, okay?
Yes.
All right, my PC is loading in very slowly. I think it's struggling in the heat.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. So I'll just explain the situation. It's only Drachir and Lucy holding the send. Now Drachir with the worker lead. The Priestess Mask is in a good spot, though, with the castle not too far behind in income, even ahead of Lucy currently. Just because Drachir and Adams both go for income here on wave 7. Only partial from Adams to get that crucial gold for the mask. No, the bounty hunter, sorry. The mask was already upgraded on 6. But the send on Tjuvis will not be sufficient to leak him with the quarter be present.
No, and with that Deep Coiler and Green Devil build, Tjuvis can push really hard now. He's going for an income resend of his own, though. And this is kind of similar to how the game versus... that's how their semi-final game went, right? Because we saw they went for that big all-in play on wave 6, which didn't work, and it looks like it didn't work here either. And then they went back to income sending a lot more frequently.
We do have the Kingpin coming through for Drachir, though, so he's going to be able to hold anything that Adam's sending.
Free hold for him here. Look at this, though. We've actually seen Adams, the castle player, currently has more income than Drachir, the cartel player. Now, sure, he's also got a little bit less Mythium, but I don't think that's enough of a gap to make up for what's going to happen on wave 11.
No, that's due to the long save. Drachir was forced to stay low worker, only now pushing to 10 workers, and now he really needs to make something happen on 10, 11, or 12 with the Kingpin power spike here. So if we see just have a weakness on 12 now, if you don't correct the split correctly, and so going for a wave 12 send straight from now from Drachir and Lucy is not improbable, especially with the Creditor and Venture on play.
14 workers each from Drachir and FC Lucy. Wow.
Yeah, so that's a lot of workers, and maybe it's not that wave 12 send, but I would be surprised they don't go for it. I mean, 11 seems pretty weird to go for when you have the Priestess, but maybe it's just 10 into 12, like send 10, force them to take credit for Venture, and then resend 12 with your high workers. Could be another avenue.
And now Drachir pushing even harder. He's on 15 workers now, so I was talking about the income disparity there. But now that he has almost double the workers of Adams, he's going to close that gap very quickly, and they do go for a wave 10 send.
Yeah, so the 10 to force them, not to force them, but to give them the opportunity to go Creditor Venture, and to feel them overconfident with the Kingpin on Adams, to maybe shift on 12 for a 13 Ansa, or stuff like that. That can happen. So trying to play a mind game here from Drachir and Lucy, with the Creditor and Venture present in play.
Now we've got some massive ogre sends coming out with a lizard and a snail to boot. Tjuvis, he's very low value. There's no way he's holding this.
Yeah, I mean, no Daphnes. It's all on the Coiler.
Yeah.
The Ogre's gonna chew all the Arcane in.
At least he's not split tanking the ogre there, so that could have been very bad for him. He's still leaking, of course, but at least he doesn't waste like 1,000 damage on the ogre, right? That's 74% there for Tjuvis. Adams, he's not holding either with his Priestess Mask build, but again, this is not a terrible leak either.
It's not terrible leak, but it's the first king damage of the game here.
Yeah, and that's important. And this is still a pretty much full HP ogre and 2 decently healthy bosses as well. They're going to take some 50% damage here at least.
Yeah, but you know how I said, okay, they're gonna send 10, they're gonna go 12 afterwards to open up themselves into a Creditor Venture play to try and counter it. Well, guess what Adams and Tjuvis do as an answer? They just don't push a single worker.
Okay. And then go for income sends on 11?
Yeah, because if they cause a leak here on 11, then it's a longer wave, so Drachir and Lucy might say, oh, okay, we're gonna utilize this time to send bigger on wave 12 where you took the Venture and Creditor, and we're gonna leak you big.
This seems very, very odd to me that they don't push a single worker there for the Sweaty Tryhards. I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing, Shadow, but I don't see it myself.
I mean, it's heavily dependent on Drachir and Lucy going wave 12. They just saw that, okay, they sent 10, then their next play is to go 12 right away, because there's 2 spells that allows us to scale better. And if you don't go for that, then we'll have enough gold on 13, and so you'll be forced into a long save. So they just bet that Drachir and Lucy don't want to go for a long save here.
And it's an easy hold there from both Drachir and Lucy against the Income Kings, and they do, in fact, want to go for a long save, Shadow. They're saving their Mythium, and they have significantly more workers than their counterparts now. 18 for Drachir, 19 for FC Lucy, versus the pitiful 9 workers on wave 12 for Adams. This is some Burnt Das Brot level of workers that we haven't really seen so far on the cast.
Yeah, but that makes sense for Adams and Tjuvis because of what I explained. It's heavily reliant on the 12 cent. Now that it doesn't come through, that means that Drachir and Lucy just see through their plans to overbuild here, and that allows them to be under little pressure and still force something like 14 or 15 even, despite Adams having the Priestess.
Now, I mean, Tjuvis has his Venture. Adams has fully greeted his Creditor every wave, and he has to do it again on 13, by the way. He cannot afford to play safe on 13, like, while he has 9 workers.
Yeah, he has Priestess Mask here. He's gonna have an Arcter as well, so I think this is quite safe for Adams to greet the Creditor.
Yeah, I mean, he simply has to. If he doesn't, it's the same as forfeiting the game already, I think.
Yeah, but it's very awkward for Lucy and Drachir right now because they need to be confident that their next send is gonna be a leak. And that's the danger, right? If you play the same game as your opponent and they are going for a lot of value, you kind of may need to make this worker difference work and not oversave and cause yourself to leak, or just send too early for them to catch back up in workers afterwards. So it's this strange interaction currently in place with the Creditor and Venture in play.
And I guess it almost has to be a 14 sender. Yeah, there it is. We see the double ogre and the mole coming out from Lucy, the centaur coming out from Drachir as well. Now, Tjuvis and Adams, they have to save here almost, because the way that they've played with the 9 workers on Adams, I feel like if they income king here, even if they survive, they're just going to be so far behind.
Yeah, they have to skip. It's correctly read by you. Adam's going to be on insane value.
He is, but I mean, he will actually be overvalued if he manages to spend all of his gold.
I mean, he will be able to spend all of his gold unless he is someone that just have low APM, just like Stoican. But I think he's safe with that.
Yeah, he seems to be spending the gold, so very well played there. He did not prep masks last wave, and that will come back to haunt him here. He's also selling his higher split on the mask there, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Archer split thinking maybe with it. I think this is happening.
I mean, these are big sends, 720 each. In fact, the Priestess tanks very little there. Is it tanking like a Brute and 1 creep?
Yeah, that's basically what it's tanking right now.
I mean, he needed it to tank more than that. Okay, interesting placement there for Adams, but it looks like with his 3.2k value on 14, he's doing fairly well. He needs to, because Tjuvis is leaking 160%, and Adams, you have 9 workers, you have 3.2k value, and you're leaking 100%. I mean, they die here, Shadow. I feel like it feels kind of deserved, to be honest.
Yeah. We do have Teamname just striking back pretty convincingly against the
Yeah.
Castle of Adams here.
They felt very comfortably in control of this game. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, we did miss the action on wave 6 there due to the technical issues, so apologies for that, guys. You can see it here. There was only income sent. There were easy holds from both Drachir and Lucy, and the rest of the game we caught up to just fine. We saw big damage here on 10. We saw income sends on 11. We saw Adams on 9 workers, wave 14, leaking 100% of the wave, and we see Teamname, evening up the score. The grand final is now tied 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the wave 10 that made the difference here. The decision to not push a single worker. I mean, that's in reaction to just, you're gonna send me 12 afterwards. But I think if they wanted that, then you don't send on 11. Like, you don't push worker, you don't send on 11, and you force a 12 yourself as well.
Yep.
I think, like, if you want them to send 12, don't send them on 11, and then they need to question, oh, wait, did they push for a 12 afterwards?
Yeah.
And it's just that little interaction that wasn't too convincing and just changed completely the game.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough one there. It did feel like a lot more of a one-sided game. The first game, of course, came down to a race practically on wave 20, and now we see Teamname just really far ahead, it felt like, of their opponents throughout the game. Adams and Tjuvis, they made a play there, not pushing a single worker after their leaks on 10. And maybe if they both hold 14, it can work out for them, but if you're going to do a 0 worker push like that and still leak 100% plus when they send, I mean, you know, the game is doomed.
Yeah, that was the big issue. Like, Adams had the potential to do well, but he didn't prepare accordingly for 14. He prepared for 13, which I think is a bit of a mistake with Priestess. Also, his aggro on 14 wasn't the greatest with Priestess, but did protect her quite a long time still. But is it the right choice on 14? It's still questionable.
Yeah. All right, Shadow. So now that we have a series tied 1-1, do you have any favourites again? Because now we're basically playing a best of 3 only with both teams neck and neck. We've seen a couple of interesting games so far. Who do you favour now as we move into game number 3?
I mean, I need to hand it to Drachir and Lucy still. That was my initial prediction. They did lose the first game every single time yesterday, and they kept it, and now they should be able to keep up the pace. But now Lucy tempted into the castle here.
Okay.
It's gonna be cash out on Drachir, and Adam's going to his faithful chaos here.
All right. I mean, if there's one person who knows how to abuse chaos, it's certainly Adams. He is a chaos main on the ladder, tilting players left, right, and centre. And we get Tjuvis Fiesta. That's very, very spicy. Although, I've got to say, Shadow, if you look at Tjuvis's role, that's a little bit of a sad Fiesta role.
I mean, it has to be a Devilfish opener or a Seraphim with 2 Polywogs. As a Fiesta, you can add then the Gargle. Still a little bit vulnerable on wave 4, so a little bit awkward, sure. But he's gonna go Green Duel instead.
All right, so not making it obvious that he's playing Fiesta, but I guarantee he's going to push really hard now. Probably hope to see a snail send on 2 from Lucy, though I doubt that will come as she's playing Castle. She wants to keep it slow.
Oh. She's going for the snail.
She goes for the snail here, so she does correctly read the Fiesta on Tjuvis, but she will see that backfire here into the Green Devil, effectively countering Tjuvis's downside here, because a Fiesta Mastermind with no Fiesta opener is pretty bad, right? You miss out on all of that gold, and of course you have 0 income, but now he gets the 6 gold from the snail, so he's not so troubled. And if Lucy goes for a snail resend, Tjuvis is almost guaranteed not to add here on wave 2, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, the play from Tjuvis is to not build, as you say, for sure. But I don't think Lucy is going to be willing to go for that snail resend, as it slows down the game potentially and puts Drachir into a lot of pressure on wave 3 with the Gatling gun.
Yep. Now we can see that Drachir does have that Neko Martyr or the Infiltrator, both very good choices to pair with the Gatling gun on wave 3.
There's only one choice. There's only one right choice here for Drachir, unless he gets a snail here, but he doesn't, so there's only one right choice.
What do you think of the choice, Shadow?
It's Infiltrator, it's just better scaling, it's good on 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
All your weak waves, you can add a buzz for 5 if you want tanks. You can even just fully shift for a flower. I think this is just a better curve for Drachir to go for the Infiltrator.
Alright, I mean, you sold it to me, dude. So we see the Sens coming out again here on wave 3. There's a Lizard from Drachir. There's a DT from FC Lucy. Tjuvis, of course, has his 6 workers here. The DT should cause a leak, but again, he's a Fiesta player.
Yeah, I mean, the Fiesta's gonna be... I mean, is he just not building? Oh.
I mean, if he doesn't build, he can leak this pretty badly, I think, against the DT.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna shift for Trinity Archer, it looks like.
Oh, no, he's going to add a couple
I
of...
was thinking about it.
Polys?
Poly? No?
No? Okay,
No
no ad.
poly.
No ad. Right, well, let's
that's
see. This is going to be a fairly big leak.
Oh no, Drachir. What is that? Come on, Drachir.
Ah,
You know better than that. You know better
Drachir
than that.
did not listen to you, Shadow, but he has got perfect split tanking there between his Neko and his gun. So that's an easy hold for him. Let's go back and check on Tjuvis receiving the DT into his solo Green Devil. It is a leak. It's a 56%. So, you know, he's... I think he's probably okay with that, though, honestly, because now there's no pressure against him.
What I dislike is that he's still going for that Trinity Archer, which I don't think is the best solution for him. I think pushing one worker and going for Seraphim would be still a very good choice. Or even going for Sea Dragon, push 2 workers, go Sea Dragon, could be very good. But yeah, just deciding to overbuild here.
It goes for the Archer and the Polywog overbuilding, as you say. He goes back for the Gargoyle, so yeah, he's going to be very fine here. If we have a look at a Dams lane, what did he roll? He rolled some stuff. He's got a pack rat upgraded, he adds a Peewee. There's fairly big send going into Lucy's lane here. The 100 send with a Fiend and a couple of Snails. Let's check out how she manages to deal with this one. That Fiend is dying very quickly.
I mean, the Atom is what is doing the damage here. It's keeping alive, it's gonna be a leak. But it's not looking the greatest on Adams currently, but Split Aggro is good.
Let's check back on Adams. I mean, the Atom for Adams is surviving. That's an easy clear for him. 58%, meanwhile, for Lucy against the 100 send from Adams. So this is the first sizable leak from a non-Fiesta player. And Tjuvis, who did get that resend, he did hold with his value, but now he has 8 workers starting to pull away from the pack.
Yeah, I think this is interesting, the decision that Tjuvis made here to still commit to the Trinity Archer. That baits the wave 6 Sen. Is it good for him? Probably not, but it's good for Adams if they go for a combined send from Lucy and Drachir on 6.
Now this should be an easy hold from Drachir with that tank value, with the Grawl dropped here as well.
So it's only Tjuvis going for the send, so a little bit of a repeat of what we saw as a tendency in this tournament. We're gonna have a lot of sending not together. I think they've alternated their sends every single time on Adams and Tjuvis.
This split focus is just so perfect from Drachir. The gun does now go down, but his units all tank their fair share for sure before that, so he's only leaking a Dino +2. I think he's pretty happy with that when he has 9 workers.
Yeah, but this should always be a hold on it. With -50 with a gun, this is supposed to be a hold. I think it's a little bit of a misplay here by Drachir.
Okay.
Or
now
maybe unlucky aggro, that could be too.
Okay. Now we have income resends coming out from Drachir and Lucy, Adams and Tjuvis. I mean, not looking amazing here on wave 6, honestly.
I mean, that's what they wanted. With the Archer shown, that's what Tjuvis wanted. Drachir not gonna send full, I believe, against what we see from Adams. Adams was supposed to be the strongest here, and that's what we're gonna see here.
Tjuvis actually shifted 50 gold here, so his leak might be a little bit bigger than you would otherwise have expected. It's only 5 snails, though. There's no power mercs in the mix.
no power merc, only income, but the snails are very hard to deal with when you have very low single target damage and the archer.
I don't think he's going to kill this one. It's the curse of the AoE build. He leaks 67% here. One Rocco, very low HP. Adams will be able to cover, though. He's got a ton of units alive in the mid.
But a little bit less ideal of a Fiesta. Still gives more time to get the Mimic out from Adams, but not much to be sent by Tjuvis here.
He doesn't even reach 120 there, so he just goes for a Cannoneer rather than any kind of attempt to actually leak Drachir here. But Drachir can just get his Gatling gun already, right? He can just sell the Groll. Okay, he still needs to sell a Boz as well, but I think he's fine to do that here. And there we see the Vulcan Cannon on wave 7. Drachir is not leaking to any kind of 140, 160 send that Tjuvis can manage here.
I mean, that's a very good setup. He's gonna receive a send here. He doesn't have to fear wave 8. He doesn't have to fear wave 9 either. Just needs to add this Growl or the Flower. So very good position to just full push here.
Now Lucy went for the Pegasus here, just opting for that tank value and of course a unit that supercharges her atoms. Speaking of which, she's sniping this Mimic. Okay, Lucy. Very, very good focus there from this young lady, and as a result, she's just smurfing the wave here. One atom survives. It will be a leak, but that's 44% against a 200 send. I think Lucy's pretty happy with her performance here.
Yeah, closer than I thought here for Drachir, only to the income send. But the range send was wrecking that gun here with Cannoneer, but still, king damage. And it's 2% king difference now.
Alright, so we've got a pretty close game. Jules is giving a 6% edge for Drachir and Lucy, presumably because they have a couple more workers between them. And we have to remember as well that Lucy is on that castle, so if they are even or even slightly ahead in the early game, that's going to translate into a fairly sizable lead once Lucy's castle spike kicks in wave 11.
Want to note here, Growl from Drachir already built. I don't think that was necessary, but wants to be safe to a resend. I think that's quite reasonable. But Tjuvis is still quite a bit ahead in income. We're talking about 30 income. I mean, it's not exactly that, 24. So it's not that big of an income difference here. And with equal worker, I think Tjuvis is still quite fine against the castle of Lucy currently.
Fair. Now we see a full send coming out from Drachir there with the Mimic Imps against the build of Adams, who does get his Violet here, so he's got some options at least. And only income sent from Lucy into Tjuvis, the Fiesta player, who will easily hold here, I think, with this King Claw.
Yeah, and I mean, Sunfang also, the new unit, strangely very good as a tank. And
it's got a lot of HP, right?
Yeah, it should be used as a like bruiser type, like early game damage, and then used as a tank later. But over effective in terms of the tank department compared to damage. So very good that he has that also for the Violet.
It's doing its job. It's tanking here. The Violet is staying alive for a very long time. It will go down now. It's managed to reach the aggro of the Mimic, but actually, I think Adams has just done enough here. At the very most, he's going to leak a Mimic only. The Atom is killing the last creep there. This is a lot of gold on the Mimic, though. 15 gold here. Will it get any more in the mid? No, because it's going to start chewing on a King Claw, which it has 0 chance of killing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's less than 0 chance of killing at this point.
Yeah. Alright.
But the worker department, equal on everybody. Income, Lucy did catch back up a little bit, but the worker situation is better on Tjuvis at the moment.
Yeah. If we look at the income, though, remember Lucy is about to get 45 income for free when Wave 11 kicks in.
Yeah, so that's why it's good for her. But the worker is still a bit an advantage. So the gap is not exactly 45 income.
Adams, though, he is going to start falling behind. He's tied on 14 workers with Lucy. He has the lowest income in the game. But you can never count out a Chaos player in the late game because all he needs to do is skillfully roll the right unit once or twice when a send is coming in, and he can quite easily turn that around.
yeah, very difficult to see what is going to be the next play for each teams. Both teams having solid. Okay. Well, we have a witch.
A solo send here, Shadow, against Drachir, who has got a couple of King Claws, actually. Pretty strong units there. And I think they're both going to cast immediately on the wave as well.
It depends on how many snails there are.
Not that many, right? I think he can maybe afford another 100 Mythium.
I mean, if there are all snails, then one spell's gonna be wasted on those snails. Surely.
Let's find out. I mean, I think he can afford a dino as well, which might help. Let's see. Adams is saving. There's the dino, yeah. And I think another snail as well. Let's see. There is the slam. Okay, I like the dino for that reason. We do see the first Froggo going down. Good split tanking here from Drachir with his gun. Really using that fortified HP. It looks like it will be a leak, but really not a big one at all here. Very, very nice positioning from Drachir.
I mean, this sand just speaks to me that they want to go like 13 afterwards, which is a bit questionable still, having the Avenger, but no, wait, Adam's going 12? Okay.
Okay. So the asynchronous Nova Cup continues, Shadow, with some very interesting split sends coming out here from the Sweaty Tryhards. A very small leak on Drachir wave 11. Let's see if Adams can be more successful here on 12.
I think this is a slight mistake. Like, yes, Tjuvis and Adams covered themselves pretty well, but 14 is still a decent send against them. If Drachir and Lucy wants to save to 14. But I don't think it was correct just because you just expose your common weak wave on 14.
I mean, Lucy is pretty weak here. She's minus 240. She's got a lot of Swift and Arcane units. The Centaur is just chilling on the Alpha Male, though, so that's not ideal.
It's definitely not. So we're gonna see here. Maybe they just go together.
Wow. I mean, is she just leaking the Centaur only?
Might just be a hole.
Wow. Okay, this play has majorly backfired, I think, for the Sweaty Tryhards. First, Tjuvis barely leaked Drachir on 11, and now Adams, I mean, even smaller leak here on 12 against Lucy.
Interesting. Also, that we see the 13th send being chosen. The Phoenix is not really exposed here on the side of Adams, so I'm not really sure how well the Phoenix is gonna do.
Yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, like you say, the Phoenix is not going to tank a 4 Eyes here, at least not immediately. Tjuvis, meanwhile, I mean, he's not amazing on this wave. I said that in a previous game where he had Tempests and Trinity Archers and Rogue Waves, and he proved me wrong. But here I feel like he's going to leak fairly decently.
I mean, you know what's the difference? He doesn't have Rogue Wave.
Yeah, he doesn't have Rogue Wave. Or Leviathan, actually.
True. And Archer is split tanking quite a bit.
Oh, this Phoenix does pull the 4 Eyes that was on the split very quickly, actually, as soon as the split dies. So this will be a leak from Adams. Let's have a look back over at Tjuvis. The Trinity Archer staying alive. Kingclaw does miss its second spell there. This will be a chunky leak. Adams 107%, Tjuvis 94%. They have very few King Ups here, Shadow. This is a lot of damage here against the Sweaty Tryhards.
Yeah, a little bit of a questionable decision to go 11 and 12 separately.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the reasoning. They don't really have a common weak wave, but if you go long save 13, then they have less Mythium to send you, and your Phoenix can maybe do better. So, not really sure here what was the thinking. Maybe too afraid of the combination of units that Lucy had.
Yeah. But the other thing about the split send is it means that Drachir and Lucy can both push effectively because they know that the other one will be able to cover in the worst case. So it gave them the aggressive edge, it let them save a bit longer, it let them send this massive send on 13, and now as a result the Sweaty Tryhards, they're on 18% King HP, while Teamname, they're still on 100%. This is going to be a very, very difficult ask now for Adams and Tjuvis to come back into this game.
Yeah, very difficult to see what's the next send also for Tjuvis and Adams. They did push quite hard. Tjuvis does have a lot of Mythium, so 15 is probably what they're looking at, but Lucy's looking quite strong on 15 already, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we do see a lot of magic damage, so if they feel themselves and want to take a risk, then going 16 is possible, but not recommended here with the values.
I think sending Wave 15 against Starcaller with Magician and a full circle of Pegasus is very, very risky because that build can put out some insane damage with the Starcaller sending out shots every couple of seconds, the big shotgun Starcaller, and of course the Pegasus very effective damage and armor typing on Wave 15. So Adams and Tjuvis making a good decision here not to send into the build from FC Lucy. But Drachir and Lucy, they don't send either, and I think Adams and Tjuvis, they can be in quite a lot of trouble on 16 themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that they could have tried to go 15, Drachir and Lucy, because I thought that they would recognize that the values are not really there. But just staying close to value on, I mean, not staying close to value for Adams and Tjuvis, but trying to stay close is what I wanted to say. And they're gonna match the 16 here for Drachir and Lucy.
Yeah, there's another problem though, Shadow, which is that Drachir has just revealed the Honey Flower in his role, so now he's going to be able to place a couple of death caps here. Obviously, very, very strong units on Wave 16. They're at the very back of his build. They'll stay alive for the longest time, dealing a ton of damage against the wave. Tjuvis, of course, is sending auras with his send, knowing that those flowers are going to be there. But Drachir, despite being minus 935 value, he's got a very strong build on this wave.
Yeah, the problem with imps also is that, yes, it's tanky for the gun, but it might have some issues surviving the flower damage. So we're gonna see how this goes. But,
interestingly, Drachir and Lucy, they're feeling so confident here on 16 with their builds, with their fully upgraded King spell. They don't even send their Mythium here, so assuming that they survive, I think this is just an almost guaranteed win for them at this point. And Drachir is doing very, very well. He's going to leak, but it's only 76%, and that is on low health as well. And Lucy's doing even better than this. She's leaking just 3 creeps and a centaur, 2 25 gold shutdowns, nowhere near enough for the Sweaty Tryhards to get back into this game.
Yeah, oh, okay, they straight up go for 17. I think that's, I mean, it's good because the Phoenix is not gonna do too much. Also, I think there's an LOD out there. Yeah, there's a Hades. So I think it's like quite reasonable to go here.
Yeah, these are some massive sends now. We've got double Kraken from Drachir into a Downs. We've got triple Ogre Pack from Lucy into Tjuvis. I mean, Tjuvis has a ton of magic damage here. He's got a lot of those life binders. Is he even building for 18? I think he is. They're expecting the 18 send, and that's going to bite Tjuvis in about 17 seconds' time when the wave begins. I don't know, Shadow. This is rough.
Drachir and Lucy learned from one that they just realized magic damage is good on 18, so they just decided to go for 17 instead.
Yeah.
So
I mean, these guys are going to need an absolute miracle to survive here, Shadow. There's 1,040 Mythium walking into a Downs lane. 960 for Tjuvis as well. His magic damage, he made the gamble to full build for 18. It's a respectable call, but it's not one that's going to win them the game, unfortunately. Adams is getting completely overrun. This is going to be a massive leak on him. Flick back to Tjuvis. He's doing very well. 93% there declared by Adams. Tjuvis is doing better than this. No, 94, okay, a lot of it's low, but with only 21% King HP, there's just no way. There's no way. The Teamname, they take the lead back into the series with a 2-1, now winning game number 3. Well played.
yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that Adams and Tjuvis just tried to force too much a weird game. Like, they tried to make it super weird with 11-12 send. To make it awkward for Drachir and Lucy to try and find a wave they want to send on. I think they just bet on them to send on 14 with those kind of weird sends and say, oh, okay, we're gonna say one longer because you just sent us. But they kept strong and went for 13 still to get the initial big damage on them.
Yeah. I think more to the point as well, this really risky like mid-game split sending from Tjuvis and Adams. maybe if they get big leaks, it can be worthwhile. But if you're leaking 2 creeps and a witch on 11 and just the centaur on 12, then this play is just never going to work, Shadow. They don't get enough economic damage done, they don't get any king damage whatsoever, and as a result, they just take nearly their entire king HP in return on 13 because Drachir and Lucy were able to push while saving. And yeah, the game just felt impossible already after wave 13 for Adams and Tjuvis. They made a decent show of it with some return damage on 16, but they had no chance of holding those 1k sends on wave 17.
But yeah, I mean, they switched up the pace a little bit. They wanted to make something different. It looks like they went for long saves in the initial game, like the insane long save in the mid game, game 1 that won them the game, forcing to wave 20. But now in this game, they just tried to go for more sends here, and it's really against what they normally do. And I think it really didn't work in their favor in an even game.
Yeah. So Adams and Tjuvis, they are on match point now. They cannot afford to drop another game. Shadow, what do these guys need to do differently to come back into this one? They need to reverse sweep the reigning champions right now if they want to take home the Nova Cup. So if you're the coach for Adams and Tjuvis, what are you telling these guys? How are they going to have to mix things up in order to improve?
I mean, I think it's just go back to your roots here. I think it's just Tjuvis and Adams try to go for big league early, like 7, 6, 8. I mean, they tried that multiple times, but they just always seem to go one wave too early. And just try to see if they go for NT10 or not, and just play around those. Like, go for your long save. You're stronger when you control your pace of the game, when you make it strange for the opponent, like counterintuitive. Like Drachir is very good when you're following a certain line of sense, and if it's not really what he expects, you save beyond a wave he would have expected, then it can become really difficult for him to hold then.
Yeah, it's they've got a tall order ahead of them. Like a reverse sweep is always difficult, but if you're up against the reigning champions, 4-time winner Drachir, 2-time winner Lucy, or 3-time winner Drachir, 2-time winner. I'm confusing myself now, Shadow. Never mind the audience. But when you're playing up against the reigning champions, like winning 2 games back to back is gonna be tough. Adams and Tjuvis, though, the way they played in game number 1 was very, very strong. So if they can go back to that kind of play style, and it's pretty much exactly what you said, right? Because the game that they did win in game number 1 was when they kind of accepted the send on 14, allowed themselves to leak there, but not too big. And then in return, they got this massive counter send on 15, dealing the killing blow to Lucy and Drachir. So they kind of need to go back to that style of play, mix things up a bit, knock Drachir's game sense out somehow, and then just try to clutch a win somehow. But it's really not going to be easy against players of Drachir and Lucy's caliber.
Yeah, I mean, you want a messy game, but you don't want to overly force it, as you've seen in the previous game. Previous game, they tried that. Like it's not always working. It's working very well if you have a lead, what they did last game. And like if you're an even game, you're just throwing it away. That's where they thrive normally in even games. When you go for this longer save, you often come out ahead if you have a solid build, because you are able to put more pressure on the strong synergies of the opponent.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. So some solid advice there. It's a shame that Tjuvis and Adams can't hear your coaching advice, because that might very well help them out here going into game number 4, the all-important game number 4. Remember, they are at a 2-1 disadvantage now, so one more win for Drachir and Lucy will secure the trophy for those guys. Adams and Tjuvis on their last legs right now, it seems. They really can't afford to make a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it's always in terms of tournament the kind of place you don't want to be, but you have to be at one point. It's just you just need to forget about what happened previously and just refocus. Say, okay, that didn't work. Just forget about it. and we go forward. And especially against tournament favorites, that's very hard to do. But just the best thing you can do is just say, okay, we're down, it's fine. Let's go back to what Tjuvis does best, and it's just do fun builds. Like
Yeah.
if you saw what Tjuvis builds when he streams or when he plays, you're like, what the hell is this and how does it hold? That's what they need to make happen in this game. They need to make Drachir question his sense
Yeah.
so that he's not really sure what to send in the future afterwards.
Just take him out of his comfort zone, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Very solid advice there from Mr. Shadowings. Let's see if Tjuvis and Adams are able to put a similar game plan into action. The all-important game number 4 is about to begin. Let's go.
Alright, so Masterminds are still yet to be chosen, but we have the Legion spells Divine Blessing, Lock-in Pota, maybe. A X-God special, but Chaos is chosen better and reliable choice to find that answer, and Castle and Cartel chosen for Drachir and Lucy.
Okay, so swapping over, Drachir on the castle now. We did see it work out for Lucy already. And Cartel, okay, a bit of an interesting pairing there. So one of them's going to be strong in the early game, one of them's going to be weak in the late game, or strong in the late game, sorry. And meanwhile, Adams with his Chaos again. Pretty solid pickup, honestly, when there's Divine Blessing in the game, because, you're pretty much guaranteed to get one of those powerhouse units like a Priestess, or a Nightmare, or a Dread Knight, or something like that to take the Blessing. And we've got Tjuvis on the cash out.
Yeah, cash out on Tjuvis, and he has the gun Chloro Pixie. Okay, this is a very strong combination with the gun changes that happen. It leaks very little now to 2 Snells on 3, and I'm very excited because I think Tjuvis knows about it, but will he do it? That's the other question. He might be boring and just go crush your 6 workers, but I hope he does not, but he will.
Does, okay, he goes for the Crusher there for Tjuvis. He doesn't even take the gun in his role, or the Pixie, actually, so you might have wanted the fun build there, Shadow, but unfortunately Tjuvis is going for a Crusher, and who can blame him, because this is really all to play for here. Game number 4, they have to win this one.
And he's also not sending on wave 1, but solid build from Lucy here with the Yozora.
Yeah, and she has the Sea Dragon as well, so she's effectively unleakable before wave 7. It's such a strong early combo, and she's even Cartel, so there's just no chance really of Tjuvis leaking her anytime before wave 7.
And Adams is a bit short on the Angler, so no Angler here for him on wave 2.
Oh, Tjuvis does continue to save, but this is just going to be easy rewarded here for Lucy when she drops that dragon on 3 and holds pretty much anything that Tjuvis can send against her.
Okay, there is a possibility that it's very far-fetched, okay? Maybe just go 4 with Adams to try and punish that Priestess. Very little he can do to leak the Yozora Sea Dragon on wave 4.
I mean, he doesn't know about the Sea Dragon, though, and Yozora by herself can be vulnerable to something like a Fiend or even a Dino, depending how much time he gets with his 5 workers here. But with the Sea Dragon, it's just basically no chance of leaking.
I think it's just gonna settle for the Fiend here. Yes, he does. Oof, okay. So nothing too fancy, but yeah, I mean, I think it's better for him to send income here rather than save more, because the Yozora Sea Dragon, as you said, is just so powerful.
And knowing how strong her build is, by the way, Lucy just goes 5 workers regardless. She doesn't care that Tjuvis' Bone Crusher could be 6 workers. She doesn't care that he saved on wave 1. She just goes straight in with that Sea Dragon Yozora, knowing that she's so strong here on wave 3. But Drachir, though, he gets a 60 send. The Lizard there, it doesn't tank a Buzz Death Rattle, so it will get that pierce damage into the Priestess. This might be a bit of a leak here.
Does it get the healing? It does.
Does get the heal, so I think it's just fine. And of course, the Sea Dragon Yozora just easily holding the 80 send here from Tjuvis as well. So Drachir and Lucy, this is a pretty solid start here in game number 4.
And 7 workers on the castle player?
Yeah, 7 worker castle player with a consort, with a priestess. Drachir's feeling very strong here. There is income resends coming out against Tjuvis and Adams. This could open up something like a straight 7 play for them, and they are Sweaty Tryhards after all, Shadow, so I can see something like that being the result.
I mean, this is the one weakness of Drachir's build. It's gonna be the 7. And with the Sand here on 4, it might just be enabled. Remember, the Bone Warrior is also very good in the early game, and so can hold in low value if it needs be. And it's looking pretty good on Tjuvis. Weird aggro, but that's what we want to see here for him.
Yeah, this looks pretty solid. The Fire Archer, I think it can tank the 2 chickens. It can certainly tank 1, so if it gets the kill, yeah, it's just going to survive. That's a nice hold for him against the DT send. There are resends. It's only 1 snail, though, from Lucy, so maybe not wanting to gift them the Wave 7 send. And knowing that they have at least a decent chunk of Mythium left over, Tjuvis and Adams may feel pressured into sending Wave 6 themselves.
I think he's going to be fine. I think the Slime Siren is going to be quite good on Wave 6, and he can up the split as well to reduce the pressure on the Archer. So we're going to see what it accumulates to. We also have the possibility of another Gate Guard here on the side of Adams. Wait, no.
Yeah, a couple
Yes,
of Gate
Chaos.
Guards very strong, especially against small sends, right? And a small send is all that Drachir and Lucy can really afford. I think the worst case scenario would be something like a couple of Brutes on Wave 6, which is a threatening possibility, especially with Adams pushing to 8 workers here from the snail send.
Okay, I think that's a mistake from Adams, but looks like he's gonna pay off.
But Drachir and Lucy, they save their Mythium here. Okay. So it could have been dangerous, perhaps, if they'd gone for a double Brute send, although I think Drachir's just shy of that 120 Mythium, actually, so...
Yeah, a little bit short on it, but it's... I mean, I think they would have went for it if it was a possibility for Drachir. But not happening. They're gonna match them on 7, it looks like.
Yeah.
Recognizing that they are weak on that set wave.
Tjuvis built a Dark Mage here, by the way, which is... You know, the Bone Warrior line is a really good early game unit, but the Dark Mage is kind of the exception to that. You only really want it in the late game when it's buffing a very strong unit. I mean, sure, it's buffing a Slime Siren, but I don't know, maybe he could have found a better use of 95 gold.
Just oh no, Tjuvis was short on the Mimic.
Oh, he was so close. Look, he has 22, 23 Mythium now, so he must have been literally 1 or 2 Mythium short of that Mimic on 7, and that would have been so good against Lucy. Look at this, she's got so many Arcane tanks, of course the Azura that's swift, but this income send from Tjuvis is just an easy hold from Lucy, especially with the boosted Veteran here, and we have an Azeria here from Drachir.
Yeah, little scoop here. I think Doofus is in the chat right now. He remembers how this went. It didn't go very well for him. He did lead the whole wave while sent a Mimic. And it is a similar scenario. The Mimic is under fire. It will be...
Oh, it dies very quickly. That's a Mimic snipe there. And now Drachir's Azeria will heal. That's just a full hold, right? There's no way the creeps can kill the Azeria.
That's the difference. Yesterday, the Priestess did die as it killed the Mimic, but now it survived just barely.
Yeah, and so that's an easy
that's
hold
the difference.
Drachir. This game, Shadow, we said how important it was for the Sweaty Tryhards. They need to win this, but it feels like things are already starting to favour Drachir and Lucy.
I mean, that's a long save, not working against a castle player. Castle player at 10 workers can make that even higher.
11. Tjuvis, the cash-out player, an early game-focused mastermind, remember, only on 8 workers here, despite Drachir not having very much pressure against him whatsoever.
Yeah, and look at the income from Drachir. Look at the income from Lucy. What's the difference between the two masterminds?
Yeah, I mean, Drachir is very close, and he's also keeping up at the top of the power score there. He's ahead of Tjuvis and Adams.
And you want to know why Tjuvis is solo workers compared to the others, despite being Drachir being long save?
Go ahead.
It's just because Drachir, the entire game, hasn't fully sent a single time. It's just 20 here, 40 here, 20 here. 60, 20. It's just partial sense here and there. He's
It's
using
really
all of
keeping
his
him
mid to
guessing.
median,
Yeah.
but it's just very hard to push workers against this type of play, especially in the case of Tjuvis, who is highly reliant on having some weird builds, and like the weird builds works pretty well if they're getting long saved or sent a lot, but not in the middle because it relies on knowing what your build is capable of. But when you just place your units like Tjuvis does, it's very hard to know even yourself the strength of your own build, rather than be reliant on what has been sent and what has not been sent.
Well, now we have income sends again coming out on wave 9 against Tjuvis and the Dams, who should be fine against this. I gotta say as well, Shadow, Tjuvis was 8 workers on wave 8, and he still leaked 4 creeps to a single dragon turtle. This, we can see him at the bottom of the power score chart, and it feels like there's a reason for that. He's having a bit of a rough one this time around.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a large send here, 160 towards his lane. That's the full release now from Drachir.
So yeah, really keeping him guessing so far for the whole of the early game, and now he goes for a bigger 160 send. It is going to leak him, of course, because Tjuvis pretty weak on this wave, and despite not really pushing very heavily, he's also managing to be 150 undervalue.
Yeah, and that's a big leak here from Tjuvis.
71%. Adams, of course, is holding his lane. He's going to be able to clear up most, if not all, of this in the mid. But Tjuvis is just struggling in this game. He's desperately gasping for air. And Drachir, the man who's keeping his knee on his throat, is also about to hit that castle power spike and just snowball to the moon.
Yeah, and Adams is hoping for a ram here. He gets it. Or will he send it? Does he send it?
Shaman. Shaman? Okay.
I
I mean, there's a halo there, which I guess he can just sell something to make it a radiant halo. But the shaman feels like a very weird send, Shadow.
Yeah, I think like the best choice would have been the ram. Yes, it gets nuked by the halo, but at least you reach the halo.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, it still takes a long time for the halo to kill a ram as well. By the way, like it still has the range damage resistance. It still has a lot of HP. But yeah, I mean, the 2 snails are going to die very quickly.
Yeah, and it's gonna go straight into the boss afterwards with the 2 halos now, and the extra walking time can make a lot of difference.
I think will die. I guess the extra damage on the boss means it kills the Azeria very quickly. Now that halo goes down, now this halo goes down. It's done a ton of damage, but still decent 86% leak there. Lucy, how are you doing? It looks like a hold. That's very clutch, actually, because Lucy's just going to be able to clean this up, I think, in the mid. Meanwhile, Tjuvis leaks again to an income send from Drachir, and Drakir's power spike is about to kick in. He's already on parity in income with Lucy, who's the cartel player.
Yeah, I mean, he was not afraid to push workers despite being long saved upon, and that's just the power of the build that he had with Priestess early game.
And just look at the state of the game now, Shadow. We see Drachir there, 17 workers, 219 income. He also has the most income, the most Mythium in the lobby so far. And, I mean, sure, Lucy's further behind now, but she's still ahead in income of both Tjuvis and the Dams, despite the cartel penalty.
I mean, that castle game here from Drachir. There's the Dream Castle. You're ahead early. You keep yourself ahead in the mid game. It's almost impossible to leak you. And guess what? Divine Blessing Priestess. Yeah, not the easiest to leak.
Really not the easiest to leak, especially when you're the biggest player in the lobby here with 19 workers with super high income. I mean, Drachir just knows that he can afford to be very low value now because the Divine Blessing Azeria is just such a broken unit spell combination.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see how they approach it. I mean, the answer that Tjuvis and Adams had against the Divine Blessing normally was to save longer than their opponent, but it was an even game, and now I think the game is far from even.
Yeah, this feels rough, Shadow. Like, Tjuvis and the Dams, they're playing for their tournament life here. They need to win this one. But Drachir, with the big Blessing Azeria, is really going to make that a tall order for them to achieve.
I mean, if we look at the build, I think, like, Drachir and Lucy want to try for 13. There's not really an answer for Tjuvis and Adams on wave 13. So I think this makes a lot of sense. Adams' play is to shift here and hope for a Phoenix. That's basically what he needs to hope for.
Yeah.
And to shift here, while Tjuvis is gonna shift here to try and hide the not shift, but just hide the Divine Blessing for them to keep them guessing if he has a Phoenix or not. But there's no shift coming from Adams, and I mean he didn't really have something. He did have the gate, but it's still not the best. And the 13th Sen is coming.
Yeah, this is a big send. Do Tjuvis and Adams answer this, or are they just going to try and survive here and then have the upper hand with their Mythium? It looks like the answer is they're going to skip. Okay, this is, I mean, they're so low value, Shadow. I mean, sure,
Yeah,
there's a Divine Blessing Dancer, but he can't even afford to upgrade it.
He's selling.
He's selling for it, okay. But it's even exposed. Like, this is a middle of the lane Dread Knight here. It's got APS, MPS buffs. It's got a Dark Mage as well. But what's his tank value, Shadow? 1 Berserker?
There's 2, and he's hoping for the Dread Knight to not tank before the 2nd Berserker. I'm not really sure. It's very rough, but it's the correct play for Adams and Tjuvis to have a chances in this game, not to match them. They need to have more Mythium than that to try and make the Divine Blessings.
Just dying immediately, Shadow. So it's just not going to work for him whatsoever. He's got so much bad value on this wave with the Dread Knight, with the APS, MPS. That's 400 value that just does nothing to keep this Dread Knight alive. 94% leak of dams, 117 on Tjuvis, and they're going to take a ton of damage here.
At least they did some king attack, but I mean,
but they've also lost the blessing as well, right? You've got to remember, it's not just the king damage, not just the economic damage. I mean, Tjuvis is also playing with no king spell now.
I mean, you know what they're not playing with too? The U button. They did not push a single worker off the Sen, and that's terrible news.
Okay, so they're going to go for a repeat of the other game we saw, where they just try to accept the send and then go a little bit longer. But, I mean, they haven't pushed the worker button, and they're still under value on both players. Tjuvis significantly so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just looking pretty rough on both of their lanes. They are just hoping that Drachir and Lucy don't have too many workers. Well, guess what? That's not really the case right now.
Yeah, they actually have more workers than both of them, despite just receiving a send. And in fact, Lucy is overvalued still. So Tjuvis has been saving since Legion TD1, and Lucy's still plus 20 here on wave 14.
Yeah, I mean, it was their only play to possibly win the game, but they needed to do better on 13, which didn't happen. Now they're still weak on 15. Drachir and Lucy can look for that send too, or they can just go 60.
Okay, so nobody... Everyone's kind of holding their nerves here on 15. Nobody's spending any Mythium here, so I guess it has to be 16, right? There's no way that Tjuvis and Adams survive a wave 16 send if they don't send themselves, and even if they do, I think they're just so far behind, Shadow.
Yeah, they would have lost here to a 15 send, but Drachir and Lucy just playing the safe avenue. They have Divine Priestess, they know they cannot leak too hard on 15, and they know that they're gonna have more Mythium on 16 than on 15, so they have a higher chance of winning on 16. I know it's hard math to do, but I think this is correct.
Yeah, and they were never in danger of dying either, right? Like, they have the fully upgraded king attack, they have 100% king HP, they could have leaked decently here and still survived.
Yeah, I mean, just aiming on the least probable lose chance for Drachir and Lucy while being ahead. That is a very smart decision. And yes, they're undervalued, but they always win a race here. Joe's not very confident that Tjuvis and Adams win this game at 19%. I think that's quite accurate, even generous.
I think that's very generous indeed, Shadow. In fact, if you look at the value here, Tjuvis, with his mighty 13 workers on wave 16, is 1,020 under recommended value. Like, he has not got a hope in hell of holding this wave.
I mean, if...
Drachir is still alive and kicking. clearing up the left-hand side of the wave. It does now die, but it just doesn't matter. He's holding very, very well. It will be a leak, of course, to the massive send, but it's not enough. Tjuvis 97% there. Drachir 99. Adams 69%. It's nice,
Very
but
nice.
not for Tjuvis and Adams. Drachir and Lucy, they are your June Nova Cup champions. Congratulations, Teamname. I mean, these guys, they just seem unstoppable right now, Shadow.
Victory.
I mean, it's very, very hard here. I mean, it's great showing from them, and I mean, just review the game and take attention on how Drachir is sending it to Tjuvis. It's very difficult to push workers in the early game with how he sent.
Yeah, let's have a quick look. So we get this king up on 1, we get the DT on 3, on 3, on 3, another one on 4, skipping a couple of waves, just going for the income on 7, the 1 on 8, the 160 on 9. Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, he's also only ever sending income, just guaranteeing that when he gets into that late game with the castle power spike, he's going to be so far ahead, and it really, really paid off for Teamname here. Like, Drachir is just so rich going into the late game, where everybody else, it seems, is just really, really struggling to stay afloat.
And yeah, I mean, Tjuvis listened to me onto his fun build, but it was a little bit too fun here, I think, with his creativity.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this 13 Shadow. Like, he's minus 600 with almost exclusively bad units on wave 13. And sure, Dread Knight can achieve miracles, but not when there's nothing to tank for it. Like, it almost immediately died there against the 520 send. Just absolutely zero tank value there on the side of Tjuvis.
Yeah, it's those kind of situations that you wonder, is it better for you to match the income sends from Drachir and try to outscale him having the APS Dread Knight? He only knows about it on wave 6 when he rerolls, but I still think, like, with Dark Mage, Shadow Dancer, and having the Divine Blessing in game, you can still look maybe to outscale the opponent and having better setup compared to the Azaria on wave 14. So I think there was maybe a missed opportunity in that sense too.
Yeah. I mean, I also think that Tjuvis' positioning is a little bit wacky there with his Dread Knight out in the middle of the lane, feeling very exposed. But I mean, I don't think any kind of positioning would really have saved him there on 13 with that value and those units.
Yeah, I mean, that's the danger. Normally, like, it's very good to do those kind of stuff in the early game because it's very hard to send against, but Drachir did not fall for it and just kept income sending and partially sending, kept true to his nature, and just overtook that. But very strong also from Lucy. Let's not forget about her. A strong build overall and just solid holds all over to do the long saves of Tjuvis.
Nice. I'm just reaching out to